It's Avengers Week here at Comicbook.com, and the end of the Infinity Saga is upon us. So get your Kleenex ready for this very Avengers-centric episode, as we are only 3 days away. What's up, guys? Chris Killian here, and I am with Charlie Ridgely by my side.
What's up?
Oh, man, we are so close. We're in the Endgame now.
Oh, we are in 100% of the Endgame, right?
That is, I can't, it's a lot of emotions going on right now. It's so many feelings. Charlie is pumped because he's going to see it in less than 24 hours. He's one of the blessed few.
Yeah, 24 hours from right now, I will be in like halfway through. I'll be about an hour into the movie.
And if you don't know this about Charlie, he's got a large mouth. So after that, we're going to lock him in a bomb shelter
ever
for about
this
4 days.
I would never.
So he doesn't ruin anything.
I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do it to you. I wouldn't do it to you.
Charlie would do it.
I might do it to Brandon, but he will have already seen the movie, so it doesn't matter. It's all a moot point.
Oh, we got a lot of stuff to cover today, guys. First things first, we're celebrating Avengers Endgame all week long here at Comicbook.com, and we've got a ton of fun articles you can check out over at bit.ly/Earth's Mightiest Week, or use the hashtag Earth's Mightiest Week to get in on the discussion. Also, you might have noticed BD isn't here today. That's because he's currently in LA as we speak, getting ready to watch Avengers Endgame about 3 days before anyone else, as if we didn't have enough reasons to hate him. But we've got Brandon on Skype right now to talk about the experience and probably brag about how he's the luckiest guy ever today. So Brandon, you there? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Chris. What's going on, man?
How you doing, buddy? So on a scale of 1 to poop your pants, how excited are you right now?
Oh, I definitely wore the brown pants today. I have never been more excited for any movie. I thought Infinity War was going to be the most excited I could ever be, and then a year later I should have known I'd be here. No, I shouldn't have known I'd be here. I can't believe I'm here, but I should have known we would be here. This excited for Avengers Endgame. This is everything, Chris. This is the end.
That's the Endgame, man. So, have you had a chance to hang out with RDJ yet?
Yeah, we were at his house last night. You know, we had a few drinks. He told me how the movie ends. No. Robert Downey Jr. remains the one guy, the one big celebrity on my bucket list I haven't met yet. I'm really hoping tonight, as you can see right behind me, this is where the premiere is going to be held. Robert Downey Jr. is going to be here, so maybe I'll finally get to meet the guy, shake his hand, and be like, dude, big fan. Let's take a selfie. Please don't die.
Yeah, how hyped are? Well, we know how hyped you are, but can you feel it in the air there? Is there just a palpable thing going on?
It's crazy. I mean, I went to dinner right here across the street from the convention center. It's happening, and everybody knows it's going down. If you look right over here, there's already hundreds and hundreds of fans lined up, hoping to get a look at some of the actors and whatnot. And nobody even really knows if they're going to get to see anybody because, as you can see, it's all very closed off behind us. It looks like they might do like a fan pit. But there were people, I came out here last night, maybe about 24 hours ago, something like that, and people were already lined up. And the arrivals don't even start for another 4 hours from now. So these people are the dedicated bunch. They're really, really hoping to meet probably like Hemsworth and Evans, let's be honest, the beautiful people.
So who are some of the cast that's going to be out there that you know of?
I'm expecting everybody, man. I've heard people from even the first Iron Man movie who were only in the first Iron Man movie are going to be out here. It seems like Marvel and Disney are bringing every person who's been a part of a Marvel movie that they could get, probably except Edward Norton, will be here. So I'm really excited. I've been a part of a lot of these junkets and events, and I've been lucky enough to interview some really incredible people, but there's still a bunch of people, like we just talked about, Robert Downey Jr., I haven't met. So I'm hoping tonight is the night.
Well, tell Terrence Howard I said hello. This is likely going to be the swan song for Thanos. Do you think they're going to tease like the next major threat here in this movie? I mean, I'm only asking you these questions because you don't know yet. So these aren't spoilers.
And I'm glad you're asking because after today, I can't speculate anymore until the movie comes out because everybody will say I'm spoiling something. So I think they have an obligation to kind of set up what's next, right? Because this is the biggest stage Marvel is ever going to have. And it's also probably a really good jumping off point for people who invested 11 years into these characters. This is the end game. So I think they have to do something to tease, whether it's a villain or a set of heroes, maybe 4 of them that look pretty fantastic. I don't know. And they have to give us something to say, this is why you have to stay invested beyond this movie. It's all over now. This was a great journey. We're glad you took it with us. But you also should be ready for what's next.
So is there any possibility that we might actually see a Fox property in the movie?
Listen, everybody will tell you no. I say it's possible. Marvel has surprised us before, and I totally think that by the end of the week after this movie comes out, we will have a better look at the future of the MCU. I mean, speculation will be a whole different thing, but I'm expecting some announcements, maybe some movie announcements. We know Black Widow's coming. We know the Eternals are coming, and we know they own the Fox characters. So I think there's gonna be some surprises in that Phase 4 slate, and I think they're gonna tease them, whether they outright show you something or maybe just a logo or a piece of a prop or something. I think we'll get a tease of a Fox-owned previously Fox-owned property in Endgame.
We've talked about this numerous times, and this is definitely the best place or the best opportunity for them to kind of hook in this huge audience and bring them in. So I think this is going to be the place to do it. But Brandon, you have fun, and I hate you, and enjoy the movie, man.
Love you too, Chris.
Yeah, tweet me and let me know what you think of it, but no spoilers.
I'm going to call you directly and say, hey, man, you're not going to believe how the movie ends. Everyone else, it's spoiler-free reactions on Twitter, on Instagram tonight.
Is he still connected? I can't hear him anymore. Is there? I think there's an issue going on. Brandon, thank you for joining us, and have fun, man. One thing Brandon has swore to me on the lives of his unborn babies is he won't spoil this. So he's not going to spoil Avengers Endgame, but unfortunately, not everyone this week should be so noble. In fact, getting Endgame spoiled is exactly what happened to some people this past week when about 5 minutes worth of footage from the movie leaked online. I couldn't even tell you more about this news if I wanted to, because as soon as I saw the words Endgame and leaked, I threw my computer against a wall. I'm not even playing when I say I will Thanos snap anyone out of my life so fast if they even attempt to ruin Endgame for me or anyone else. This leak even led to the Russo brothers releasing a statement pleading with fans not to spoil Endgame. So we're doing our best to keep Comicbook.com spoiler-free this week. Hashtag don't spoil the Endgame. However, we don't mind spoiling all 21 other Marvel movies for you, because if you're watching this right now, let's be real, you've seen everything you're supposed to see. But still, that's a lot of movies. So just in case you need a little refresher, BD put together a cram to catch you up in record time. Here goes.
Tony Stark is a weapons manufacturer but gets captured by terrorists. He builds an Iron Man suit in a cave using this, which also happens to keep shrapnel out of his heart. He gets home, fights his business partner, and who needs a secret identity?
I am Iron Man.
Nick Fury breaks into his house and Avengers Initiative. Bruce Banner is the Hulk. General Ross hates him for no reason, creates Abomination, but that doesn't work out so well. R.I.P. Harlem. Bruce goes into hiding, leaves his girlfriend Betty behind, and will later transform into Mark Ruffalo. Iron Man 2 exists only to give us Black Widow and make War Machine look a little bit different. In the cosmos, Thor gets stripped of his powers and banished to Earth, where he meets Jane and Hawkeye and learns he can't trust his half-brother Loki. Thor gets home, leaves his new girlfriend behind, saves Asgard, and loses his brother Loki into a black hole. Years prior, skinny Steve Rogers gets the super soldier serum, and he's suddenly beautiful. Wait, seriously, look at those pecs. He fights in World War II, loses his friend Bucky, and gets a hold of the Tesseract, crashes it into the ocean where he becomes a capsicle, and leaves his girlfriend behind. Noticing a trend here? Hey, Loki lives! He gets the Tesseract, turns Hawkeye bad, and tries to invade New York City with a Chitauri army. Cap gets thawed out, Agent Coulson dies, and who's crying? I'm not crying. The Avengers have a Hulk, so they win the Battle of New York, send Loki back to Asgard as a prisoner, and introduce his secret boss, this purple dude who your friends pretended to know when the scene played in theaters. More in a sec. Hey, Coulson's not dead, but he's on TV now, so he might as well be. Tony deals with wormhole PTSD, fights some guy who is not the Mandarin, and puts on a fireworks show for Pepper Potts because she hates how much he loves his suits. Thor 2 is but the takeaway here is Malekith has the Reality Stone, and when he goes down, it goes to the Collector. Captain America takes on Hydra, who are using his old pal Bucky as a brainwashed super assassin called the Winter Soldier, and whoa, he caught Cap's shield! They do get out, Black Widow helps save the day, and Cap won't fight Bucky, so Bucky helps save Steve. Hashtag bromance. Up in space, the Guardians of the Galaxy, led by 80s music lover Star-Lord, who?
Star-Lord, man.
Have to stop Ronan from destroying Xandar. Ronan is working for Thanos, the purple dude who hired Loki earlier. He's described as
the most powerful being in the universe.
Each of the Guardians have their own reason to want to kill Thanos. The Collector explains to the Guardians that the Infinity Stones are the 6 stones powerful enough to destroy the entire universe. Power, soul, mind, space, reality, and time. And boom goes the museum. The Guardians have part of a plan. Dancing saves the galaxy, and the Power Stone is locked away on Xandar with the Nova Corps. Back on Earth, the Avengers finish Hydra. Tony accidentally creates Ultron, a really douchey robot. And the Vision is created thanks to the Mind Stone being planted firmly in his head. And whoa, he can hold Thor's hammer. Ultron is thwarted and Quicksilver dies. Kinda sad, but who's crying? This time, we're actually not. Retired Ant-Man Hank Pym recruits burglar Scott Lang to stop an evil plot and gives him a new suit to do so. Hijinks ensue, but beware of the Quantumverse. That place is so small, time doesn't even exist there, and you do not want to be trapped there forever. General Ross returns and wants the Avengers to be governed. Tony is for it, but Cap is all like, yeah, the government is bad. Bucky is framed for killing Black Panther's dad. He really did kill Tony's parents way back in his brainwash days, but Cap knew all along. Everyone fights, including Spider-Man. No one really wins. Rhodey is paralyzed, Bucky is placed in cryo sleep in Wakanda, and half of the Avengers end up in jail. Enter Doctor Strange, a super surgeon in need of spiritual healing to fix his post-car accident shaky hands. He gets the Time Stone, saves Hong Kong, and uses the time loop to defeat Dormammu. The Guardians meet Peter Quill's father. He is literally a planet, bless his mother's heart. Plot twist, he's evil, and Gamora and Nebula agree their dad, Thanos, is also super evil. Peter Quill realizes it was Yondu who was his dad all along, but Yondu dies. Who's crying? I'm not crying. Seriously, please just stop cutting onions near me. Spider-Man comes back to America, dates Vulture's daughter, and thwarts his evil plan to hijack Tony's stuff after Avengers Tower is sold to someone. Baxter Building, anyone? The Hulk pops back up on Sakaar, fights Thor, who now has a great sense of humor, and they team up to stop Thor's long-lost sister Hela, the goddess of death, from destroying Asgard after Odin dies. Loki steals the Tesseract, aka the Space Stone, and Thor is permanently winking. Back to Earth! Black Panther fights off Eric Killmonger and launches a Wakanda coming out party by telling the world who Wakanda really is. Meanwhile, Thanos is collecting the Infinity Stones to fill his Infinity Gauntlet in Infinity War because he wants to wipe out half of the universe to make life better for the other half. There's some fighting, more fighting, fighting in space, and a bunch more fighting. The heroes lose, Thanos wins, and Spider-Man turns to dust. Very sad. While that was happening, Ant-Man was at it again with the Wasp this time, and she's basically Ant-Man but with wings and blasters and overall cooler. Ant-Man gets trapped in the quantum realm because his ant family gets dusted in the Snappening. Bringing the big guns, Captain Marvel is basically Superman, and she takes us back to 1995 where Nick Fury becomes her best friend and she becomes the most powerful hero in the universe. Watch out, Thanos.
Slight spoilers ahead when it comes to Game of Thrones. Last night's episode premiered, and for all of you out there claiming it was a, quote, boring episode, you need to go ahead and shut the hell up. This will likely, nay, most definitely be the last time we see most of these characters alive ever again. So my suggestion would be you really relish in this peaceful night full of camaraderie and resolution before the Night King shows up next week and just destroys everything you love. Charlie, you and I have been discussing Game of Thrones all day long, man. What did you think of this episode?
I mean, this is one of my favorite episodes in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
I think it's really, really good. It wasn't like super action-packed, but that was okay. It went back to the original, like first season or two, where it focused on characters more than anything else, and they had their relationships, and they set up, how the stories are gonna end. And, there was a lot to take away and a lot of really fun stuff.
Plus, Tormund. Giving everybody the origin of his nickname was one of the best things that I've ever heard in my life. Every party needs at least one Tormund.
100%. Every show needs a Tormund from now on. Cast him in everything so he can just reprise his role as Tormund. I don't care what the show is. It can be another Grey's Anatomy spinoff. I want Tormund as a surgeon in that hospital.
Yeah.
Just so I can watch him do more stuff.
It was amazing.
It's
but
amazing.
The whole show was good. I got to say, I was pretty surprised that, and sorry if you haven't seen this yet and you're having to kind of like earmuffs, when John finally reveals to Dany what his true name is and all that, I mean, I was a little surprised that she wasn't hung up on the fact that she's been hooking up with her nephew this whole time. That was like they weren't that worried about that at all.
She cared way more about the fact that like he has a better claim to the throne than she does. But like when you think about Targaryens, their history, they used to marry their brother and sister, and that was like the normal thing for Targaryens. So hey. A nephew's like way far away from what it used to be.
That's
so
like fourth cousin to us.
Yeah. I said yeah, but I don't know what you said or implying, and I take back my yeah. I don't know what you were trying to say, but I'm out.
Oh, man.
I'm out.
Okay, anyways, moving on. Speaking of people that we love possibly dying, that's likely to happen this week with Endgame as well. Man, this is going to be an emotional week for us. One of the possible candidates who won't make it out of Endgame alive is Tony Stark. And what better way to celebrate his end than talk about his beginning? Check out this Major Issues. He's pretty much Marvel's version of Bruce Wayne, but he's a quippy Bruce Wayne. Welcome, collectors. Today we're tackling Iron Man. He first appeared in Tales of Suspense number 39 from 1963, and he was co-created by Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, Larry Lieber, and Don Heck. Stan Lee initially modeled Tony Stark after Howard Hughes, all except for that whole peeing in jars quirk. And on the big screen, Iron Man's been played by, or rather absorbed by, Robert Downey Jr. for over 10 years in the MCU. While the references are a tad, let's say, dated, the origin of Iron Man is told in Tales of Suspense 39 are fairly close to the origin we saw in the MCU. Tony showing off a new invention to the military and womanizing the ladies. Jetting off to Vietnam instead of the Middle East, Tony and a group of soldiers set off a tripwire explosive set by a villain named Wong Chu, who's only a smidge more racially insensitive than the Mandarin. He kidnaps Tony and demands that he design him new weapons.
Your room where you work. Plenty of scrap iron, plenty tools. This I promise you, I shall build the most fantastic weapon of all time.
And with the help of Professor Jensen, who is once again Asian here and not Middle Eastern, Tony secretly builds the Iron Man prototype suit. Just like in the film, Jensen sacrifices himself to keep Tony safe, and Tony vows to escape so Jensen's death isn't in vain. After testing out the suit, Tony decides it's time to take out Wong Chu.
Why do you stare, Wong Chu? What is wrong? Have you never seen an Iron Man before?
Wong Chu tries to destroy him, but quickly realizes he and his men's bullets are no match for Iron Man or his scientific comic book jargon.
I'll just reverse the charge on this magnetic turbo insulator and use a top hat transistor to increase its repelling power 1,000-fold.
Whatever that means, it works, and Iron Man destroys the camp. Victorious, Tony removes his heavy suit and departs on a thoughtful walk through the jungle to contemplate his previous life and all of his terrible choices. And that's Iron Man. What other characters would you want to see me tackle? Let me know on Twitter at Chris Killian, and I'll see you next issue. Oh man, my hair's getting a little crazy there. But finally, before we swing it back around to all things Avengers, I want to throw DC a little love out there. Earlier today, some more leaks supposedly happened in regards to a new Batman-themed DC game called Outlaws being developed by Rocksteady, the same company that made the Batman Arkham games. If the rumors are true, the new game will be fully revealed by WB Games on April 26th, though the artwork gives some idea of what to expect from it before that date. Some believe Outlaws might be the game that Rocksteady's been secretly working on, though there's nothing in the teaser that would confirm that. As for the DC Comics character that'll be involved, Red Hood and the entire cast of the Suicide Squad are two possibilities. People pointed out to the Red Hood and the Outlaw comics as a possible explanation for the name of the game. I'm pretty excited about this news, if this is true.
I mean, yeah, anything where you have an idea, like the opportunity to jump into not only like, okay, yeah, Batman Arkham was fun, but be able to take on like these lesser known characters and move around in a place like Gotham City where you really know and make your own identity with it, like,
right.
It's a cool opportunity. I hope it's what they're saying. Like
well, a lot of the rumors that have been circulating for a while, I think it's kind of been debunked now, but for a while it was that it was going to be a Superman game,
right.
Which I think I was pretty interested in that. But I like that if this is about Red Hood, then it's kind of a continuation of Arkham Knight, and so seeing what Red Hood's up to with some other people, and that makes me wonder if Batman's even in the game, because he at the end of Arkham Knight he retires,
right? So
he's gone. So that's going to be.
I mean, I'd much rather deal with like those Gotham City anti-heroes and like some of the villains there than play a Superman game. Like Superman, it's kind of boring. Like you can just do whatever, and I mean, I would have played it. I would have played it.
Do you
Don't
remember
get me
the
wrong.
Hulk game back in the day where you just destroyed buildings?
Yeah,
that would be kind of what I would want.
Yeah, but Superman wouldn't do that. So it'd be like you have to, be careful.
If you're
Superman, but like don't do cool stuff. Just calm down. It's like a kid's game because you just okay. Hey, there's a burning building. Go put it out with your ice breath or whatever, and then I guess go sit at home.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Maybe.
You gotta,
who knows?
I don't know. I'm not into it, but this is way more exciting. This is way more interesting.
This is gonna be cool. I'm excited about this, especially if it's two-player. There's been rumors saying that it's two-player, so that'll be awesome.
That'd be great.
So before we get to the questions, though, there's a lot of fan theories out there that Endgame will feature a ton of time travel elements in the plot, and if that's true, BD wanted to bring you all up to speed on how time travel works. So get ready for a nosebleed.
Avengers Endgame is looking to right the wrongs of Thanos, and the best way to do it? Go back in time. What's up, Comic Book Nation? BD here, and you might want to sit down for this one because we're about to tackle time travel and how it works. To do this, we're going to take a look at the rules and mythology of the ultimate narrative headache in previous films and TV shows, 3 of them, each of which are very different. First up, Back to the Future. The mythology of the OG time travel flick is referred to as traditional time travel theory. It is one which allows for new timelines to be created by interfering with the past. For example, when Marty McFly goes to the past, he creates a new timeline where he doesn't exist because his parents never had him as their kid. It's a whole new timeline which everyone suddenly exists in, but Marty McFly does not. So he, and presumably some others, would disappear as the new timeline takes over. In order to prevent this, future Marty has to change his interactions in the past and make sure that he is still born, but his actions from the past result in his parents being a bit different. In the end, Back to the Future's timeline rules indicate that there can be multiple timelines, and any changes made in the past will cause new timelines to splinter off of the original, taking anyone and anything with it. It's similar to what happens to the DC universe every time Barry Allen messes with the timeline and tries to save his mother. Changing the past changes the future. New timeline. This is why the Avengers have rules in Marvel Comics about changing things in the past, and likely will have to implement some if they use time travel as a narrative device in Endgame. Then there's Lost and its time travel. After crashing on an island, the survivors of Oceanic Flight 815 found themselves traveling through time, but they couldn't change anything. We're going to call this the whatever happened, happened theory.
We have to go back!
In this theory of time travel, going back in time was predestined, meaning it already happened, but the time traveler hasn't experienced it yet. Think of time like a straight line. As the clock ticks on, we continue down this line collecting new experiences. However, if we were to jump off this line and go back in time, we would continue moving forward through the line, but seamlessly with a part of the line which had already been behind us in the future. This means that any interference with the past would have already happened. For example, in Lost, Sawyer went back in time from season 5 to season 1, where he stood in the bushes and saw Claire's baby being born, but his season 1 self was nowhere near it. Or Daniel Faraday tried to warn a young, past version of Charlotte that she would die if she stayed on the island just moments after seeing her future self die. The warning happened, but she came back to the island anyway. This all means you can't change the past in the whatever happened happened theory because it already happened.
You knew this was gonna happen.
Although it is new for the time traveler's stream of consciousness, it already happened for everyone in the time which that time traveler came from. Let's apply this whatever happened happened theory to Avengers Endgame with speculation about the Battle of New York. This could be a scenario where Tony Stark is floating away from Thanos' army as he did in 2012's The Avengers, but falling short of the wormhole which allowed him to live and return to Earth. If he is going to be the key in defeating Thanos, maybe Tony Stark is going to time travel to this point, fly through the cosmos, and give himself a boost to make sure he makes it through the wormhole. This would have already happened in the Avengers, although we didn't see it, and Tony would have been completely unaware of it. His future self would experience it for the first time, but it would have happened years ago. Think Harry Potter saving himself, for example. Then here's our third theory, the Looper theory, which comes with a really cool nose piece for Joseph Gordon-Levitt as a young Bruce Willis. But in the Looper theory, you can go back in time and have free will to change things, but your younger self ultimately has to progress their own actions to a point where they do go back in time to create those changes in the first place. But if your past self sees any permanent life-changing alterations in this timeline, they are also instantly applied to your future self, which creates changes in history going forward, but always existing in the same single timeline. This would mean if the Avengers time traveling were to cause a past version of Captain America to lose a leg, the current present-day Steve Rogers would instantly have a scar in place of that leg.
I understood that reference.
If they were to cause Steve Rogers to die in the past, the future Steve Rogers would also be dead and disappear. And it would all exist in one single timeline. Of course, there are always the questions of if they go back in time and fix it, wouldn't they never go back in time in the first place?
Don't know, I've gone cross-eyed.
And other paradoxical headaches, so for now, we'll have to suspend our disbelief and try to wrap our heads around the mythology Avengers Endgame presents to us.
Now, there's no time at all.
What's your big prediction for how Avengers Endgame will undo Thanos killing half of the universe? Will it be time travel? Which method do you want to see? Share your thoughts in the comment section or send them my way on Twitter at BrandonDavisPD. And stay tuned to Comicbook.com/Marvel for full Endgame updates and insider info following the April 26th release.
So apologies if BD just gave you guys a migraine there. Anyways, it's time for our favorite part of the show where we answer your questions. It's your favorite part of the show, isn't it?
It is. It's always my favorite part of the show.
See?
Always has been, always will be.
Yeah, I told you. So what we got in there?
All right,
Anything
so
good?
we have a couple of different questions from different stuff. Arrow Willis has been in the comments since the beginning of the show, and he had a question about a character we haven't seen in the MCU yet. When do we think we're going to see the She-Hulk on screen? This is one of those characters that I feel like everyone on, like, I've never met anyone that's like, oh my god, I love She-Hulk, but everyone I talk to online, like whether commenters here or on our site or just on social media that I interact with, everyone asks about characters like She-Hulk and Moon Knight, and it's way more popular than I thought.
Yeah.
So when do you think we could see another version of the Hulk on screen?
I don't know. I think now's the perfect time to bring She-Hulk into the MCU. I think she'd be a great candidate considering where we're at as a society. But with that being said, I personally want to see Red Hulk. I've been dying to see Red Hulk for a long, long time, and he's not there yet. And I just wonder how much longer I don't know how long we're gonna let General Ross go before we plant that little seed in there. So I don't know.
I personally, I like Amadeus Cho Hulk, like the newer Hulk, but more than those other options. But I mean, I don't think Mark Ruffalo's quite done yet. I mean, I think you still got some life in there.
I don't know that Mark Ruffalo has to be done to have those characters pop up. But to answer the question, there's no telling. I don't know. And they seem to have a lot on their plate going forward.
It's really hard to try and figure out what's going to happen next when Endgame's right here the way it is.
Yeah, there's...
Like, before Infinity War, we had all these predictions and stuff, and then once that happened and it changed the way we're going to think about everything, it's like, I have no idea how to make predictions about the future of this franchise.
I feel like once Endgame is over, though, the floodgates are going to open as far as like where we think that
100%.
everything's going. So that's going to be cool.
Brad Burke wants to know, this is a Game of Thrones spoiler, by the way. If anyone is watching Game of Thrones that hadn't seen last night's episode, just go watch it. Do we think Brienne is a goner next week after what happened in this? She got knighted in this week's episode. It was the coolest moment of the episode.
Yeah, for sure.
Like definitely the most emotional moment. Does that mean bad things for her going forward?
You know, I think there's a lot of bad things going forward for a lot of characters. I think there's a lot of characters that are going to die pretty unceremoniously in this next episode. I think we talked about this. I was worried with Jamie. When I saw how much FaceTime Jamie kept getting back to back to back, I was like, great, they're going to kill Jamie.
Yeah.
So I was real nervous for him the whole episode. But Brienne, I mean, I think other than Jon Snow, I think anybody's up for.
See, I think Jamie's safe at least for another week because
Yeah.
I think Jamie's story has to come first full circle with Cersei.
So we talked about this.
I think it has to come back around.
that more than likely that's true. But with Game of Thrones, I think it doesn't have to.
You never know.
It doesn't necessarily have to.
There's all these other characters. I mean, Brienne, I think, really could be in trouble, even though, like, I could see Brienne surviving, too. But, like, Sam and Jorah said something to one another about, I
was going to say, just for a second, I mean, imagine if Jamie does die and seeing Cersei's reaction to Jamie dying while they were kind of, fighting.
Yeah, I could see that. I think that his tale, his redemption arc has to kind of finish with.
Sure, I mean, I hope
with
so.
with him and her. But like Sam and Jorah said to each other, "Hey, we'll see you on the other side. We'll see you when this is over." And it's like, no, you won't.
Yeah.
When you say that.
Even when Tyrion was like, one of you guys are going to be wearing this hand of the king before it's all over, I was like, don't say that, Tyrion. Now you're just going to die.
There's so many like foreshadowing moments in this episode. And remember, next week is, I think, 84 minutes in length total, something around that.
Basically,
and then the battle is about an hour long, straight through without breaks. Just the fight, like the most going into this movie.
I have read so many fan theories at this point that it's almost impossible to dissect what were my original theories and what I've sort of adopted along the way.
What's your favorite thing?
I don't know. I feel like at this point I've just wiped the slate clean and I'm not thinking about it and I just want to go in and just be surprised.
Yeah.
I just have no expectations at this point. I kind of just don't want to know anything, and I just want to watch it and enjoy it. So I don't even know.
I feel it.
I'm kind of okay with just whatever. I do think that some major characters are going to die.
I agree.
But past that,
I agree.
I just want to see what they've got prepared for us.
I think Captain America is as much as I love him, Captain America is one of the top candidates.
It's going to hurt
to go away.
But it's going to be that much sweeter when Chris Evans becomes president of the United States.
Yeah, here's the thing. I want to set this scene for you because I've been watching back through all the movies this week.
You just asked this question solely so
I just thought about this when you said dead characters. Because I tweeted the other day, listen, it's all going to come, Steve Rogers is going to go back to the past, okay? And go back to find Peggy. He's going to stay there for whatever reason. He has to sacrifice. He stays. We don't know what happens. But then it cuts to Peggy Carter in the dance club. You watch the clock when she walks in, 8 p.m. on the dot. She sits down. She knows that her date's not showing up. She knows that he's not there, but she sits down anyway because she has to give it a try. She has to wait.
I see where you're going with this.
She waits. Time goes by. People dance. People ask her if they want anything. She says, no, I'm waiting for somebody. He doesn't show up. She's fighting back tears. She stands up to walk out the door, and she turns. And Steve Rogers is standing there in the doorway. And he says, sorry I'm late. And it's the last time that we see Captain America in the MCU.
Man, that's
pretty makes you want to cry. It makes you want to cry just thinking about it.
In fact, Reese just asked, do you think I'll need to bring tissues for Endgame?
100%.
And I think that's a given.
100%.
That's a given. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. This is Charlie Ridgely. Hit me up on Twitter at Chris Killian. Guys, before you sign off, we got a little treat for you. Since we know so many characters are going to inevitably return from the snap, we do have a little video that we whipped up, an unmemoriam, if you will. So check it out and enjoy, and happy Endgame.